Good morning and welcome back. I'm honored to be here this morning as we get ready to launch another school year. And before we get any further, I know it's one of the highlights of the first big gathering is a chance to meet some of Mentor School's newest staff members. So let me please introduce you to the following. Teaching ELA at Shore this year, Alex Alsai. And Applied Technology at Mentor High School, Alex Byram. And grade 4, Lake Elementary, Danielle Carrasquillo. And psychology at Memorial in Brentmore, Laura Clark. Intervention specialist at CARES, Jessica Deegan. Welcome. And social studies at Ridge, Jackie Elliott. Yeah. Teaching ELA at Memorial this year, Christina Fosha. Congratulations. And physical education at Hopkins, Joe Ritz. Joe. Allied Health at Mentor High School, Raquel Ingram. Welcome. Grade 3 at Garfield Elementary, Amber Kiesel. And CNC Manufacturing, Mentor High School in Lakeland, Matthew Colbus. Matthew, welcome. Grade 5 at Fairfax, Jessica Ifelice. Intervention specialist, also at Fairfax, Brittany Martoni. Welcome, Brittany. Kindergarten, Hopkins Elementary, Susan McAndrew. Welcome, Susan. Intervention specialist at Fairfax, Carly Miller. Instructional technology coach at Memorial, Anna Pavko. Intervention specialist at Garfield, John Reed. And at intervention specialist at CARES, Luciano Rashido. Art teacher, Mentor High School, Katie Smith. Long-term speech language pathologist at CARES, Sarah Starcher. Sarah, welcome. And art teacher at Fairfax and Lake, Kristen Thompson Smith. Welcome. And grade 5 at Sterling Morton, Crystal Vidra. Congratulations. And some administrators in new roles this year for us. Director of Student Services, Carrie Bowser. Special Education Supervisor, Susie Chin. Unit 9 Principal, Mentor High School, Joe Glavin. Welcome, Joe. Interim Assistant Superintendent, Tim Hammond. Interim And Unit 11 Principal, Mentor High School, Mike Morosky. Interim Assistant Principal at Memorial Middle School, Tim O'Keefe. And Principal at Shore Middle School, Mike Sears. Thank you to all of our new teachers and administrators for being such good sports, joining me here on stage. We hope you have a great year and a great start to your Mentor School's career. Thank you very much. And I'm going to say to our especially the new teachers in attendance today, please pay close attention because here are some teachers you may want to learn from moving forward. I would like to introduce this year's Excellence in Teaching recipients. They were just recognized at our most recent board meeting, so please stand up and at your seats as I call your name to be honored this morning. From the elementary level, third grade teacher at Lake, Kelly Berger. And a second grade teacher from Fairfax Elementary, Therese Dennison. Coincidentally, you're sitting together, right? And first grade teacher from Orchard Hollow Elementary, Jessica Solon. From the secondary level, one of our instructional technology coaches, Jennifer Harris. An intervention specialist from Shore Middle School, Shayna Skupnowitz. An English teacher from Mentor High School, Kathleen Valentic. We appreciate all of these teachers. One final round of applause for them, please. And even though our classified staff members are not here with us today, their opening day is tomorrow, I would like to share with you the Outstanding Service Award winners for this year. They are from Orchard Hollow, the secretary, Moni Giebel. From Garfield Elementary, their custodian, Chuck Henry. From Ridge Middle School, their custodian, Rod Merrill. From Bellflower Elementary, Secretary Nicole Mata-Yunis. And a classroom assistant from Memorial Middle School, Donna Whitaker. Congratulations again to all of our staff award winners. For many of the new staff you just met, today marks the first day of their careers. For me, this marks the start of my 30th year in education, and that's hard to believe. Not long ago, educators would end their careers at the end of their 30th year. A lot of you will remember that. Some people were exhausted and would limp to the finish line. Some kept actual countdown clocks or calendars to measure the days, minutes, or seconds left before they could peel out of the parking lot on the final day. I'm fortunate. I have a long way to go in my own career, so I can't relate well to even any of that. And with what's gone on in Mentor the last several years, It's hard to imagine limping to the finish line anytime soon. Personally, I've never been more energized to start a new school year than this year. I want to see what comes next. I have to see what comes next, with all of you, from all of you. I want to be part of something so good because of the collective enthusiasm and efforts of all these groups of people. The students, the school nutrition services, teachers, custodians, counselors, classroom assistants, nurses, material handlers, board members, bus drivers, administrators, psychologists, IT experts, speech therapists, vehicle techs, librarians, library aides, physical therapists, board office personnel, student supervisors, videographers, parents, and community members. That about captures everyone, I hope. All of whom make up who we are. And our work this year is about moving forward. To continue our momentum, we have an upward trajectory going from the last several years. What we've done, if you stop to think about it, is nothing short of amazing. But before I talk about that, I need to take a minute to have some straight talk with you. As educators, there are sometimes some sobering topics we need to take notice of. In a few minutes this morning, you will hear in detail about a devastating epidemic that is crippling our society. The opiate problem is classified as an epidemic because it is not under control at all right now. Projections indicate the crisis may not start to improve until around the year 2032. To me, that's not okay. That's saying the students that we have in front of us this coming year will be part of this epidemic's increasing death rate. Again, not at all acceptable. Last year, we held 2 major community events, mostly geared toward adults, to highlight just how bad some of this is, and to provide some help. Of the mentor graduates who have walked across the stage to receive their diplomas in just 2016, at least 3 have died from opiates. And there are several other mentor grads in their 20s and 30s who have fallen victim the past few years. So this morning, as difficult as this topic is, we have brought in a local expert to address it head-on with us. Please stay tuned for that. Aside from trying to slow down the opiate epidemic, this year we will also review our policies and practices on limiting harmful and hurtful behaviors. That's the new language applied to our practices, our best practices in our anti-bullying initiatives. We owe it to our students and to our families to keep everybody in our care, all of our students and staff, emotionally safe. Obviously, we can't ignore physical safety either. We will continue to build on the knowledge as well as the drill practices for our ALICE protocols. So please continue to look for that this year. And more straight talk. This year, we're taking a very serious look at our school facilities and our school boundaries. While we have one school that's very tight on space, we have several buildings that are either slightly or way under capacity. We will study our buildings. We will look at enrollment projections. We will consider other data and input from stakeholders, including some of you. Besides providing a great education and keeping our students safe, we have an obligation to our community to be fiscally responsible with our taxpayer dollars here in Mentor. While you may hear a lot of different rumors throughout the year, we will spend the upcoming months looking at the possibilities. I'm mentioning this not to alarm you, but simply to make sure that everyone knows that we have to be responsible with our resources. This may result in some tough decisions, but if you think about our history of changes over the course of time in our district, we always end up okay, because we've always pulled together when we've needed to. And we're not going to let the physical changes stop our momentum in getting our students ready for their futures. Speaking of their futures, this year marks the first time we have coordinated one-to-one devices for every student K through 12. High schoolers will continue with their MacBooks. Middle school students will still be assigned iPads. Our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders will operate with Chromebooks, and our youngest students will explore with mini iPads this year. These tools will continue to enhance the instructional shifts that we have made commitments to, while also exposing students to a variety of devices and platforms they will need to know well beyond their days here in Mentor. Some of these tools were put to use these past several weeks of summer as students and adults alike continued to learn right here in Mentor. We had hundreds of students engaged in learning with programs like a blended summer for young readers, coding camp and cooking camps for intermediate grade level students. Middle school and high school students were able to recover credits and catch up critical content. These are just some of the programs. As you know, we also had hundreds of staff members who participated in professional development ranging from mental health to math. Also this summer, our team of classified staff members battled the summer heat to clean, repair, landscape, renovate our buildings and grounds to ensure we are ready for students and ready for all of you this coming Thursday. Let's give them a hand for all of the summer work they've completed. One other thing being completed that I'm sure you noticed if you drove past this morning is the new Lake Health Wellness Center on the corner of Hopkins and Market Street. It should be ready for business this coming January of 2018. It will serve our district in multiple ways, ranging from hosting meets, swim team practices and meets, to sports medicine for our students, to providing juniors and seniors medical internships, and eventually it'll be the site of our own Cardinal Clinic, and much more. We very much value our partnership with Lake Health and appreciate all the work that they've done with us to make the new facility and its services accessible to our students and staff when it opens. Stay tuned for more details on that. We've covered a lot of topics in the past few minutes. The variety of things might leave your head spinning a little bit, but my ultimate wish for you this year is to be engaged with what you do each day with all of our students so you may experience much deserved joy in your work. When I saw some teachers venturing out of their comfort zones the past few years, and when they experienced success after taking some new risks, it was incredible to see them find joy in their work. This year, some of you may naturally experience that because maybe you're taking on a different role in your daily work. Some of you may be in a new building or may have a new subject or assignment. You may be taking on a new initiative or trying something new for the sake of students. Quite simply, that alone may energize you or open up new doors or opportunities. There's a gentleman I know who is a perfect example of what happens when you get out of your comfort zone to find some joy in your work. Mr. Bob Zonneville is a 92-year-old Mentor resident. He is a World War II veteran and hero who proudly served our country. He is one of the founders of our own school's Military Signing Day ceremony. He was a successful business owner in Northeast Ohio. He has been one of our district's greatest supporters and cheerleaders in the community. And at age 88, he became the oldest ever graduate from Lakeland Community College. And, in all his spare time, he humbly volunteers his services for the Hospice of the Western Reserve. I think it's important to hear from Mr. Zonneville about being out of one's comfort zone. Let me introduce Mr. Bob Zonneville.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you are aware of the fact that I'm not here to talk about education because you'd think it was a comedy show. I'm speaking to a group such as yours. As I looked around the hall this morning, I thought to myself I was in the wrong generation. But maybe it was because as we grow older, our views become distorted. Seems to me when I was in school, When you're a teenager, all the lady teachers looked quite elderly. Today, I look around the room, and I see all these attractive young ladies, and as bad as a student as I was, I probably would have been worse. I've been ogling them all the time. But I believe that they weren't as old as we believed, but when you're in your early teens, someone that's 35 looks old. And when you get to be 92, someone that's 50 looks very young. So I think that sometimes we have the same thing when we distort our views toward the young people. And for those that are sitting back there thinking I'm up here to talk to you about World War II, I'm not. I do think there is one part of World War II I would like to mention only because it relates to the younger generation. So often I hear comments about someone will stop me and say, hey, you served in World War II. Kids today wouldn't do what you did. They're wrong. A guy wrote a book called The Greatest Generation. That wasn't true. We were a good generation, but all generations are great. What we fail to realize or think about at times is that the only time in our history we were attacked by a foreign power was in World War II. And I can assure you, a couple of years before we were attacked, people looked at our young people that didn't think we were very good either. But when you're attacked by a foreign power, you come together. All the wars since then, I'm not saying they were wrong or right, but there was a choice. And when there's a choice, the support is different. It doesn't make the people who have to serve any different. It merely means that the support that they get from those at home are different. I have been around the mentor schools a little bit. I'm certainly not a regular here. I am so impressed with our young people. And a lot of that is because of all of you out there. No group of young people can be good students or be successful without a good support from the schools, without good teachers, and in a sense, without good parents. So often we judge without realizing that the circumstances are so much different. Today, most families both parents work. When I went to school, it was very unusual to find two people in a family working. So the family support was different. The the meals were served at a certain time. A lot of things were so much different. That doesn't make it better or worse. It makes it different. I think too often when we judge the young or the system, we fail to recognize the circumstances are different. I don't believe that the young people today are any less, in fact, I think personally, after going back to school at Lakeland, I found that they were a lot better. I gotta tell you, one of my first classes I took at Lakeland was a computer class. And the young lady walked in, told us what we were going to be studying. And she said, how many of you are on Facebook? How many of you got a smartphone? Went around and asked all these questions. And she says, Robert, you never raised your hand. I says, young lady, I started school in a one-room schoolhouse with no electricity, no indoor plumbing. Each row was a separate grade. There wasn't even a word computer. Pardon my language, but I don't even know how to turn that damn thing on. The kids laughed and said, you know, Bob, you sound like you're going to be fun. We're going to help you. And they did. I wouldn't have passed the course without these young people. They were, I found when we asked the young people for ideas and for help, I had so much help I couldn't believe it. And I found so many times in my career, I'm a father, a grandfather, and an 8-time great-grandfather. I learned so much from them when I sit down and talk to them. And so many times when I was at the college, I'd go down to the cafeteria down there and have a cup of coffee, and I'd generally go to a different table each time because I wanted to meet all the students. And so many times they'd say, "You don't talk to me like most old people." Well, maybe we ought to all stop and think about, maybe we ought to talk to them a little bit about young people. I think youth is great. I wish they had a lot more of it to go. Well, anyway, I don't want to stand up here and bore you. I just want to thank you for the wonderful job you did. If I'd have known we had so many attractive teachers, I think I'd have gone into education instead of trucking. I'm the luckiest guy that ever walked. Probably one of the poorest kids in my graduating class. Came back from World War II and didn't want to be a farmer anymore. Started driving a truck. And ultimately became president and CEO of a multi-million-dollar trucking company. And served on many commissions for other things. I was married for over 61 years to a wonderful lady. I have a very large family when you count the marriages and so forth between my 4 children, 8 grandchildren, 8 grandfathers, about 28 of us. At Christmas time, it's quite an experience. On top of that, I served in World War II and survived. And I think all of us are luckier than we realize. I think too often we have a tendency to dwell on the negative. I urge you to look at the positive. And don't be afraid to reach out there. I may be wrong on something that I believe if you're teaching this year and next year you do it exactly the same, it's probably wrong. I believe the world changes so fast. If you continue to do the same thing every year, you're probably doing something wrong. I think you have to reach out there. And I think one of the places I'd reach out is I'd spend, not just teach geography or history or math. I found when I was head of the company, some of the greatest pleasures I got was when an employee had a problem and wanted to talk to me. I always found time to talk to them. Because I think when you reach out to the people, reach out to the students, you're going to learn so much and you're going to have a certain amount of joy yourself. When I say, I wasn't going to do this, when I say I don't think there's as much difference in life as we think, I'd like to take, Matt doesn't, or Bill, if you don't mind, I'd like to read a letter. I'd like to read a letter to show you that I don't think we've changed as much as you believe. At my 50th high school reunion in a little country town up in New York State, our high school principal had flown up from Atlanta to join us. And when he got up, he says, "I'm not going to give a speech, I'm going to read a letter." It was a letter I had written him from a foxhole on Christmas Eve in 1944. My mother had sent me what do you send the guy in the front lines? If they can't eat it, there's no sense of sending it. She sent me a little box of Christmas cookies, put some candies in it, and stuck the high school paper in there. And we captured this bunker and shot the Germans. And we got into this little bunker. It was like a foxhole, but it had a little cover over it. I called back on the radio and says, "Hey, there's Sergeant Zonneville. I have myself and 4 others in here. We're out of food. We need some rations and some ammunition. And here's the 5 names. Tell the runner to bring our mail up." So he brought our mail up. And when I opened and saw the paper, I said, "Hey, wait, don't be in a hurry, but I want to scribble a little note here. I want you to, when you get back to the rear, here's an address. Find an envelope, mail this for me." We forgot about it. I'd like to read this letter. It's not very long, to show you. Christmas Eve, somewhere in Germany, because we were not allowed to tell them where we were in those days. "Hello, Mr. Northrop. Tonight I received a Christmas package from my mother, and enclosed was a copy of the high school paper. So I decided to write you a few lines. I thought the paper was very good and brought back many happy memories of my high school days. I oftentimes wish that I were back there again, had it to do all over again. Since coming in the Army, I found that many times that I passed up some very good opportunities while I was in high school. Since leaving the States a little over a year ago, I have visited several European countries that only a couple of years back were merely spots on a map. In some cases, I have seen some very beautiful sights, and in other cases, they were sites of utter destruction by the ruthlessness of war. Oftentimes when I see the latter, I wonder if man is as civilized as we are supposed to be, if we aren't still barbarians. I often wonder why, when these controversial subjects arise, they couldn't just as well be settled in a civilized way at a peace table or something similar to that. Maybe the future will bear this out. Well, Mr. Northrop, everything is fine here tonight, and I hope you are well also. Things are fairly quiet up here tonight, and it sure seems good. Right now, there are 5 of us in a German foxhole. It is one they sort of evacuated a short time ago, so we moved in to enjoy its comforts. Jerry's starting to throw a few shells at us now, so I guess I better sign off. Sincerely yours, Bob. I believe a lot of students today could sit down and make some of the same comments. I wanted to pass that on to you. I got to wish you well. I want to thank you so much for the marvelous job you do. Our community owes you so much, and I urge you to not be afraid to reach out there and try something new. I think makes life exciting. Thank you.
I was a little bit out of my comfort zone, to be very honest with you, asking Bob to come up because I never know what he's going to say. But he always hits a home run, as you can see. And he's also allowed to say things that nobody else in here could get away with. So that's why he's fun to listen to. One of the reasons we're so appreciative of Bob is the level of trust he has in all of us. His faith is unwavering because he believes so deeply in the importance of education. He also never underestimates the potential of young people. That's something he shares with us. It's why I'm especially excited, even after 30 years. And I'm guessing it's the reason you chose education as your profession when you probably had lots of other options. Let's share the enthusiasm Mr. Zonneville has. And I challenge you to find joy in your work this year, even if sometimes it takes you out of your comfort zone. Thank you very, very much for your attention this morning, and my wish for each of you is to have the best school year yet. Thank you.